Yeah. So Dharni, can you chime in? Can you explain, why do you think there is a disconnect between the audience and the filmmakers in Hindi cinema? Dharni?
Sir, I cannot able to clear your voice.
Okay. The same topic, the disconnect between Hindi cinema and the audience, Hindi cinema makers and the audience.
Uh, Before itself, I'm from Tamil, so before few years back, I'm also interested to watching the Shah Rukh Khan movies morely
Right.
for Shah Rukh Khan movies. But nowadays, I'm also
Dharni, can
hello.
you
Is
put me
not
on
audible?
speaker, if you don't
Yeah,
mind?
sure. Yeah, it's not audible.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah. Past a few years back, also I'm also more interested about to watch the Shah Rukh Khan movies.
Mm-hmm.
So, but nowadays I'm try to watch some of Hindi movies, but I'm not interested to watch it because of the Saga brother also mentioned about the commercial cinemas. I'm trying to watch like Shah Rukh Khan. Example, Shah Rukh Khan. I watched on Shah Rukh Khan, Rabna Ke Jodi.
Rabne
अपने
bana.
बना दी
Yeah,
थी।
yeah.
Yeah, this is my more favorite movie. I try to look like films in Hindi cinemas nowadays, but I cannot able to find like that like genre films. And I watched another film also, Ritik Roshan and Three Friends. Zindagi, I think
Yeah,
Three Friends.
जिंदगी ना मिलेगी
Yeah,
दोबारा।
yeah,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
related kind of genre commercial films with entertainment. I missing some like of emotional films nowadays
Mm-hmm.
because of the Sagar brother also mentioned about the more like the realistic and Bollywood later action. But I'm not interested about that kind of action films. I'm interested about this Hrithik Roshan and Shah Rukh Khan films like emotional with entertainment.
हाँ,
I think that's only I felt like Bollywood films are like fall down because of they consider about action. You mentioned about Sagar, but Rogi Shetty. I know about the Rogi Shetty trailer. I watched the trailer also action oriented trailer.
Yeah.
Rogi Shetty films are more the action, the car sequence, chasing sequence.
Mm-hmm.
But I try to watch like Shah Rukh Khan films and that Hrithik Roshan three film. But that's only I think the more invest depends on action films.
Mm-hmm.
No, if I may add, for the Bollywood or any industry to work, you have to generate every kind of films. Every kind of film has to work. All these realistic, Dear Zindagi and Zindagi Na Milegi Dubara, Mom, all these kinds, those films has to work, as well as the Rohit Shetty kind of films has to work, as well as action thrillers. Like in Telugu, you are mostly mainstream genre, right? The mainstream needs to work. If you as a cultural society, if the mainstream films doesn't exist, theater system will die, because the non-mainstream films can come to OTT, non-mainstream films can come to TV.
Yeah.
Okay, those Avengers, because of the
Yeah.
Avengers and all, because of the Marvel, the theatrical system exists in Hollywood and all. Okay, in US and all. In UK, France, and Germany and all these places, the theater system is dead long back. Because this French Revolution and all these things came, no parallel movement in 1950s and 60s after Godard and all. They all went into this European cinema kind.
The French New
They,
Wave, the French New Wave.
French new those neo-realistic films and all. So they started praising only that kind of cinema. So they only gave importance to that kind of cinema. Slowly, the theatrical system died in France and everywhere. Because you call American cinema, why? Because in America they made commercial films in 50s and 60s also. Okay, all those King Kongs and everything got made there. Theatrical system exists now. You have an industry which makes money. So parallelly, you can sustain a parallel film movement. Like you can get Care of Kanchapalam, they may get like 200 screens. Bahubali may get 1,000 screens. But the screens are available only because of the commercial films. You getting me? The revenue has to be generated, right? For the theatrical system to sustain.
When you told that in France, theater system doesn't exist. No, I'm
Like almost.
yeah, I get it. But I'm very scared. I'm very scared because because I can't imagine not going to theater.
For other example, Bengal. Look at West Bengal. After Satyajit Ray came, until Satyajit Ray, they were making commercial films. You know that. They were proper commercial films which are made. That's the reason Satyajit Ray gives a lot of criticism about Bengali cinema. In all his books, he literally bashes every Bengali film because they're all commercial. They don't understand artistic values. They don't understand human values. They don't go to Cannes and all these things. Okay. So after Satyajit Ray, there's a cultural shift in Bengal to think like Satyajit Ray, to think like this parallel film movement, to think like realistic films and all. Okay. Because he got Oscars, he got Cannes and all. So parallelly, the film industry started trying to get into that zone. Once you shift to that zone, the theatrical system will slowly shrink down. Now they are making Telugu remakes. All these businessmen and pogris all got remakes in Bengal. But still, Bengal film industry is not in top 5 or 6 in the country. As in such, commercially, they don't generate that income. Like a Gujarat or Gujarat generates more income than West Bengal.
Yeah.
In just theaters, just in theatrical business. So the cultural shift itself kills the theatrical system.
And
Then they don't have theaters. Yeah.
I need to mention about in Bollywood film, my favorite film director is Rajkumar Arini. I watched Munna Bhai. And all the films are like, because of they'll be the emotional also, the entertainment also mainstream. But nowadays Rajkumar Arini also not making films. But I expect the combination with the Shah Rukh Khan. So it'll be that.
Let me tell you, Dharani is doing more justice to the title of this video. The audience around him, he's like properly speaking like an audience, like how he likes a particular kind of film. Other than that, I mean, this is how we are, man. This is how I go to film, to see. We all have a lot of problems, in them. We go to theater, we forget, and we watch what the director is doing. And I cannot imagine for it to be, I expect highs. I expect high movements. I'll give you an example. Let me take the film's name, okay? Even it's going in Dil Dhadakne Re. It's a Hindi language film. Zoya Akhtar has directed it. Okay. I watched the film. I came back normally. I came back. I mean, I enjoyed what I watched. I came back. Okay. Years later, in Insta Reels, I see a scene wherein Anil Kapoor holds the throat of Rahul Bose for touching Priyanka Chopra's hand. If you remember the scene, if you remember the film. So,
yes.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, when I saw that Insta Reels, I'm like, dude, what a scene this was. But I didn't feel the single thing. I don't remember the scene at all when I watched it. I mean,
Selective perception.
huh? Sorry?
Selective perception.
It's not
continue.
Selective perception. I don't remember the scene at all. Because the director didn't impact me very much with that scene. I mean, you're touching my daughter, man. I'm going to kill you. Itla petti goda pedtadu vanti. A scene na gurte ledu. I think that's I mean, realistic అని చెప్పి ఆ హై మూమెంట్స్ ఉంటాయి కదా, ఆ హై మూమెంట్స్ ని కిల్ చేస్తారు. It's supposed to be a high movement. It's supposed to be an extremely high movement.
Yeah. Over the top అనేస్తారు కదా క్రిటిక్స్. ఓవర్ ద టాప్ అనేస్తారు అనేస్తారని భయంతో స్మైల్ చేసేస్తారు.
Yeah. This is done. Sorry, I kept you waiting for so long. Simon.
No. I love listening to you people. You guys are really a pleasure to listen to.
So yeah, your thoughts.
So I'd like to answer this in 3 parts. Like it's going to be a little longer. Please bear with me. First thing is, as the whole concept of intellectualizing cinema is, I think we are getting it all wrong. Yeah, we're getting it all wrong. I'll tell you why. So and this will also have the film school angle that Sahu addressed towards. So see, what happens is when you're exposed to or when you're introduced to world cinema, you tend to you tend to like it. You tend to like the intellectual side of filmmaking, the intellectual side of cinema. You are almost romanticized by the idea of a film um, feeling and visually looking different from the cinema that you've been watching and imbibing for for most of your life. For most of our lives, we've been consuming Indian cinema in some capacity or the other. Let's not fragment it into Bollywood and Tollywood, but we've always been consuming cinema in some way or the other. So the whole concept of intellectualizing cinema doesn't work for Indian cinema as a module because our culture is, we are very emotionally driven people. Our emotional quotient is higher than our intellectual quotient or intelligence quotient. We are not, see, we relate to emotions, we relate to sentiments, we relate to, because we don't come from a nuclear culture or a nuclear setup. We like togetherness, we like celebrating. We don't celebrate Father's Day, we don't celebrate Mother's Day, we don't have specific days to celebrate these days.
Yes.
They have that. Also, their take on relationships, their perspective on relationships is going to differ from our perspective of relationships. So you can't make a Before Sunrise here because the entire film is structured around two people talking. The entire Before trilogy, if you see, is structured around two people talking. That works. That works there because talking, they need a specific day to talk. They need a specific day to interact with their loved ones. And here are two strangers put right there in a situation wherein they both have to talk, and they keep talking for 2.5 hours. For Americans, it's like it's a sigh of relief because this is not something that they experience on their day-to-day basis. This is not something that they experience on a day-to-day basis. For them it's a unique experience. అదే బిఫోర్ సన్ రైజ్ ఇక్కడ తీసామనుకో టూ పీపుల్ టాక్ ఏమైంది ఇద్దరు మాట్లాడుకుంటున్నారు మేము మాట్లాడుకుంటాం కదా ఇద్దరు ఫ్రెండ్స్
బోర్ కొట్టింది నాకు సినిమా
బిఫోర్ సన్ రైజ్
బిఫోర్ సన్ రైజ్ అంటే చూసా ఓకే బాగానే ఉంది వెళ్తుంది నేను గోయింగ్ ఆన్ I mean
no I understand
any you know I didn't carry that around. People said, "Oh wow, what a wonderful film." Probably it might work for them, but as an audience, I mean, నేను ప్యూర్ గా ఐఎమ్ దేశీ guy. You know, I'll tell you an example. Tenet film screening in Guntur was halted after the interval. It was halted. You know the reason why? Did you hear the news? You know the reason why Tenet screen stopped? Audience thought that they are repeating the first half again, and they shouted at the projector guy saying that film screening should be stopped.
but that's the screenplay of Tenet, bro.
Yeah, that's a screenplay of Tenet. But audience asked them to stop because first half చూసాను కదా మళ్ళీ ఎందుకు చూపిస్తున్నాడు వీడు. I mean, I mean, you have seen that Sahu? Tenet?
I have seen, I have understood what you're saying.
Yeah, so
I completely resonate with what you're saying.
what see, I come from a joint family. My parents, my grandparents. So it is very hard for us to decide to vote. I mean, everyone likes their own genre of cinema.
Absolutely.
And it's very difficult to take my grandfather to film because he will kill you if you take to a bad thing. Like he will shout in front of everyone. ఏంట్రా సినిమా డైరెక్టర్ ఏంట్రా వాడేంట్రా he's going to shout, he will humiliate you in front of public if you take him to a bad film. So it's very hard for us to go there. And if you show my family Tenet, they're going to react exactly the same way the audience in Guntur has reacted. They're going to stop the screening, they'll leave me do it. So this is our sensibility. I mean, people ask me that this Raju Musan guy again asked Amir Khan, when will we make films like Christopher Nolan? My answer would be you should probably ask Christopher Nolan when will we make films like K. Vishwanath or Rajamouli. I understand what you're saying. Our sensibilities are completely different.
They're different. There's a difference in the kind of sensibility that they possess and the kind of sensibility that we own. we've honed over the years. So there's a difference, and there's that difference is always going to be there because we come from a different culture. We've emerged as a different nation altogether. They've emerged as a different nation altogether. So that's always going to be there. That's always going to be there. And the second part that I'm coming to that I was going towards was you need to understand uh, why you're making a certain film. So if you're making, so for me, if you take, if you, I'll give you a personal example if that works. When I made someone, I was prepared. I was prepared. It was my money that was being invested. It was, I wanted to tell this story that deeply moved me. I wanted to tell the story my way, and I did not want to sort of wrap it around with a lot of other elements which are otherwise asked or demanded in a when you meet an external producer. So he has a certain demand that he would. So I did not want that to happen with my debut feature. That's what I've always envisioned. That is the path I've always walked towards. कि मेरी अगर पहली फिल्म बनेगी तो मेरे दम पे बनेगी और मैं बनाऊंगा उसको. So I saved for 6.5, 7 years. Like, believe you me, Aryan, when I say this, I saved for 7 years. I saved the money that was invested onto the film. And the film was made at a very low budget. It was made at a very low budget, and there was a lot of help and a lot of resourcing that I had to that had to be done. Wherein of course, my crew, my technicians, my team, they were very instrumental in felicitating that for me to make a film, and I made it my way. So when you make it your way, now someone as a narrative has this deeply meditative quality in its screenplay itself. So there is it has this deeply personal diary like narrative, wherein each scene takes its own time to unfold. So there are scenes that span over close to 6 minutes, 7 minutes, 5 minutes, 8 minutes. There's an 8-minute scene, there's a 9-minute sequence, but I wanted to tell it my way. And there are a lot of static long takes, and there was a certain vision that I had for that film. So అందరు అంటారు కదా మీరు ఇలాంటి సినిమాలే తీస్తారా అంటే లేదు, ఈ సినిమా ఇలా తీశారు. There's a difference. ఇలాంటి సినిమాలు తీయడానికి ఈ సినిమా ఇలా తీయడానికి చాలా తేడా. So it was for me to understand that this is a film that I'll be sending to the international film festivals, that I'll be pitching to the OTTs. It is not going to see the light of the day in the theatrical scene anyhow. So I pitched it to my particular space, and somehow MX Player accepted it, Z5 accepted it, and I still get messages and mails from Africa, from New Zealand, from a country like Melbourne, wherein people are just lauding the film, saying that it looks like this Scottish artwork. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm glad. I never came across Scottish artwork. Trust me, but it gave them that feel. So my personal take of telling the story as honestly as possible has resonated with them, and has resonated with some class of the audience here in India. It is not a film that is liked by everybody and anybody. It was not made with that intent. So know your intent. Know your intent. When you're in for something, you should know that why I am making this film. Why do I want to make this film? Is it for the visuals? Is it for the visuals? Is it for the high points? Then you'll have to place it and place the beats accordingly. If it is for yourself, then I don't think you should be at the mercy of somebody else's money, because somebody else will be at the mercy of something else once the film is done and dusted, and you don't get over to any of the OTTs or any of the, because it's a risk, and it's a risk that I happily took. So this is very important. Knowing your content and knowing your material is very important. Why do you want to make the film that you want to make? This is the second point. Third point is
please go on.
Yeah, yes sir. No, I mean,
Sahu, I mean, do you disagree with anything, or
no, nothing to disagree. Nothing to disagree. Right?
right.
You should know your market, and you should make films for your kind of audience any day.
Yeah. But you should know. You should know. You shouldn't be under the garb that you're making a Bahubali, and you make something like something else, and
yeah, they're making Sahos and Radheshyams in the same way. They're thinking they are going for every audience, but they're not able to deliver. That's the reason I told that you should know your audience. Only then you can choose OTT to go theatrical. How many screens you should go to. all these things will come into play,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. Come into play.
Yeah,
Whether
this-
you have to pitch to the
this
OTT or you have to
numerous-
pitch to the theater.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. You should know your audience.
Yeah. And the third thing is an extension to my second point. The third point happens to be the third point is ad film approach, the ad film making approach. Whenever you make an ad film, you understand your cluster, you understand your sample, you understand why you're actually telling a story. So, nowadays, it's very important to it's see a story that sells is more important than a story that you tell. So, whom do you want to sell it to? Is the bigger question. Whom do you want to sell it to? You need to have an audience, right? It might be 10% of the entire population, it might be 5% of the entire population, but you need to be aware of that particular 5%, and that is the ad film approach. Wherein this ad is targeted to these people, to the women out there, to this out there, to that out there. So you need to know your people, you need to know your audience. There's always an audience for every kind of film. Less and more is always it's always going to be there. Yeah, of course. So that these are the points. Maybe connected to Bollywood again. I guess they're making the same mistake of borrowed perspectives, and it's evident on. See, your question itself is evident. Bollywood is a borrowed perspective. Bollywood ka borrowed perspective है Bollywood. You could have easily called it Hindi film fraternity. You did not. I mean, very cleverly you called it Bollywood. I think it was a clever choice.
I with utmost gratitude towards Telugu, the film journalists, because the first thing they did is they stopped calling Telugu cinema as Tollywood. They're calling it TFI.
Lovely. Telugu film industry, which is a great thing. When people call Bollywood, నాకు గుండె జారిపోతుందబ్బా. You're already, see, how do you why do you copy an exam? With whom you're copying? Someone who knows better than you. So I'll look at it as answer and I'll copy it down, right? So when the name is Bollywood, you have already inside your head you have a superior. You have a Hollywood is your benchmark always. So you somewhere on just in case.
No. I'm good.
So it's already great to you. So there is nothing. There was I read an article about how the name Bollywood came and all. There was a journalist who proposed it, started calling it, and Amitabh Bachchan had a serious issues with it. He called up and he said, "No, you shouldn't use this name. Stop using it." And he was like, "It's called branding. That's how I'm going to brand it, the entire industry." And my only thought is, when I was reading that article, my only thought was, Adidas का अबीबास बना रहे हो, तो वो ब्रांडिंग नहीं होता, उसको चीप कॉपी बोलते हैं.
Absolutely.
Cheap copy. Adidas, Abibas, Reebok, Puma. That's a cheap copy. The moment people and I consciously used Bollywood because
Exactly.
they have made a joke out of themselves by calling the name.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's where they lost the game. Half of the game is lost there.
And also every element of the cinema is borrowed from somebody else's perspective. See, Rajiv Masand, Anupama Chopra. Why should you listen to any critic? You should make the films that you want to make ultimately. That serves the purpose.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure that I don't know. I see some really good cinema coming out of Bollywood as well. I mean, from the Hindi film fraternity as well. But it's just not. Yeah.
With
That's just.
Let's hope that works out very well.
Yeah. I mean,
funny thing is that man, they're coming to cash show. Suma anchors that show. I mean, they're coming to Telugu television. They're coming to Telugu television and promoting Brahmastra film. And
yeah.
I'm like, dude, what happened to you guys?
And this has never happened.
And I think that's an intellectual decision. That's a very good decision because they know that this boycott thing, this is running in Hindi. So they know their space. Hindi audience, let's not focus on them. let's focus on people who can work it out. Telugu audience crave, we are hungry for cinema. So let's chime in Telugu and then be promoting ever since. That's a very good idea actually. But I hope they revive the culture of, you know what? In Telugu, if you go to any auto in Telugu, Andhra or even in Tamil Nadu, for example, if you go on an auto ride and talk to the guy about films, he will tell you what film is releasing when. He will know. In Tamil Nadu, when I went to Tamil Nadu, the most asked question to me, Tamil friends was, our brothers is, Tala or Talapati? Which one do you like? Whose fan are you? That's a question I frequently ask my Tamil brothers. So even in Telugu also you can ask such questions. My Pawan Kalyan, all these things. NTR, whose fan are you? And he's going to tell you a lot about that. I'm very much. I went to Bhopal for a marriage. I was very surprised. That guy hasn't seen a film in 17 years. Auto guy. That's not a common scenario at all in Telugu.
No,
Sorry.
yeah. If I may add a point, in India, only hardly 1.5% of the population watches films in theaters. 1%.
1%. Yeah.
So the KGF 2 has got the max footfalls till date in India. KGF 2 got the max footfalls in India. It is around 2 crores or something. 2.5 crores. In the 130 crore population,
yes.
In 130 crore population, 2 crore people, that's the max watched film in theaters.
Yes. And
yeah,
I mean, I don't think KGF 2 was it. Hum Aapke Hai Kaun had 7.5 crore. I remember.
I don't know. I can't comment. But so far, statistically, KGF 2 got that many footfalls so far. Okay, maybe.
So, thank you guys. Thank you so much for supporting this channel. I'm going to start it. I'll upload the video, whatever we've recorded. And trust me, you know what? So I stay alone here, and my wife is gone to pregnancy. I mean, she's still in my side. I stay alone here, and I'm dying to have a conversation about films. You know, one of the key things to success is your network. I had zero. I mean, I do have people. I mean, I interact with them and all. But you know, having a deep conversation like this, I don't think it's been probably a year before marriage. I had this conversation. Probably one and a half year it has been. And I thank all of you guys for being here and presenting your thoughts. I mean, I'm baffled with some of the answers. And Sahu probably scared me to death when he said French cinema is dying. I just hope that doesn't happen to Telugu cinema at all. I hope Dilraj Garu or someone take charge or do something, please. Let's not kill Telugu cinema. Thank you all, and I had a great perspective from Dharani as well, from Tamil, to understand the scenarios. One shocking thing that I've known is parking charges are that huge, man. Should be I would have walked to theater. What can I do? Parking charges 60 rupees in the bus. That's a very shocking fact to know. Thank you all this, and Siddhant, thank you for bringing your real-time experience of the making of a film and the struggles and all. Thank you all so much. I hope you guys.
Thank you, Arya.
I mean, maybe if you can have the closing arguments, start with Sahu. Closing notes, whatever.
Closing notes is simple. There is one thing. Only one thing can bring audience. Okay, there's only one key ingredient, which is you make the best film ever. Yeah. That is what will bring the audience to the theaters.
Closing arguments are about the discussion, I said, not the.
Okay, I was concluding. I get you. So the points you raised, the points you raised, all the three questions you raised.
Let me just have. So, thing is, we're all occupied in our personal lives. For 1 hour of your time, I understand what it takes. you know, and I'm going to have this weekly session. Probably, I'm going if you guys are not free, I'm going to have it with some other people, whoever I can find, and I'm going to discuss with them on the possibility of what the being have. And whenever you guys are free, please chime in because this is man, these kind of conversations is energy. So, so Sahu, how do you feel about this podcast?
Yes, the discussions you raised, right? We have to, a lot of filmmakers, a lot of upcoming filmmakers ask the same questions about the industry, how it is going, what is the change which is coming, because the industry changes every 4 years. Okay, so now there's a transition happening in every industry, particularly in Telugu and Hindi industry. The transition is very visible right now. So you should right now understand which direction you should go and what kind of films you should make and how things are working right now for the audience. This discussion has opened up that topic deeply, in depth. People can understand after watching this video. People may discuss with their friends and all whether what we have spoken so far, how true of how valid each point is, right? So it gives some direction to everyone, particularly to the filmmakers, upcoming filmmakers. Yeah, thank you, Arya, for this discussion and all. The points you raised are really good and all. So yeah, we all love to speak about everything. If we had time, we would speak a lot more. But any day we can, any day we can join in and start a discussion. Always open. Yeah.
So Siddhant, you.
First and foremost, thanks for having me, Aryan. I mean, I guess, yeah, cinema is energizing. Discussions about cinema is all the more energizing. So it's important. Like I think if you want good food, good health, good education, why not good cinema? Good cinema is also good for your appetite, your emotional and mental appetite.
Yeah.
And I'd like to conclude by stating a very it's a line that I live by, that hope is a good thing. In fact, it's the best of things, and no good thing ever dies. So let's hope that the cinema culture doesn't die. Let's hope that Bollywood doesn't. I mean, let's hope that Bollywood is not called Bollywood anymore. Like in the coming 5 years, it again revives itself, and
let's not call it Bollywood.
Yeah, let's not call it Bollywood anymore.
Yeah.
I hope we have a lot more original voices coming in, and in order to revive the excellence that we once owned and the excellence that we once possessed in cinema, in storytelling. And nothing beats a good story, man. No enemy can defeat it. So as long as there are good storytellers, and as long as there are good storytellers kicking in, I'm pretty sure that cinema is in safe hands.
Yeah. Dharni, how did you feel about the discussion?
Today I learned something new things, and I known about the Bollywood and the tribute about the audience and the theatrical cultures. Today I learned about many new things, and to know about the Sago brother and Siddharth brother, and the Sago brother knowledge will be the sharing through knowledge. It will be more useful for me, and Siddharth brother also sharing the knowledge, and Sagar brother will be telling about the film schools. Viscom also same thing, Pastor. They're telling about Martin classes. It's called after it's called Psycho Italian, but they are not focusing about the mainstream cinema because of they are focusing about the technical Hollywood big drama ones to watch Martin Casas' film, to take Martin Casas' style of filmmaking. So, but you take about the truly to speak about the commercial mainstream cinema will be the helping to theatrical to growth. This is a true word. So, interesting because of most of director will be to danger to speak about commercial means they will be looking at the danger because the commercial cinema will be not help to the, but the commercial cinema will be help to the theater to growth. That will be today learn about something new things and about the understand the Tollywood and Bollywood. And Bollywood I am missing from the Rajkumar Arani films. So I'm waiting for Shah Rukh Khan with Rajkumar Arani combination. And Aryan brother, thank you for giving this opportunity to discussing with you. And I'm interested too because of the Sagar brother, the mention about the content is king. So I'm interested to if every 1 month we'll be deciding the one film, deciding with the one film we'll be discussing about the screenplay and the camera work. Why the story will be more attractive to the audience. It will be more useful to the we'll be the producing the more content. it will be grow to the theatrical.
I'm gonna do that too. I'm gonna pick a film probably in the
Yeah.
next week or next discussion. I'm gonna probably pick a film. Let me cover the contemporary topics,
Yeah.
and then we'll move to film discussions as well, because we're all upcoming filmmakers and all. Let us see from the audience point of view, especially
Right.
missing and a lot of people, audience perspective, and then filmmakers perspective as well. So
Also,
Thank-
thank you, Sahu and Dharni. It was lovely knowing you guys here. I mean, it was amazing.
Thank you, Dharmi. Thank you.
thank you all.
Next time.
Thank you so much. And bye. See you in next sessions. Anywhere, probably next time I'll post the invite in the group. If you're free, whoever is free can chime in and tell us your opinion. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a nice day, Aryan. Have a nice day.
Best. Bye.
Have a
Bye.
nice day.
Bye.
Thank you, bro, Aryan, bro. Thank
Bye,
you, Sagar,
bye.
bro. Thank you, Siddharth, bro.
Bye, bye, bye. Dharni.